Okay, I started the recording, and let's go ahead and just kind of talk about what the day planner is, because it could get a little, there could be some confusion between the day planner and also your today tab over here. Okay, and one of the things is when we start thinking about the items on a day planner is the idea is that it's information that we want to see that relates to today or last week or this week or something that's really important that we want in front of our faces. Like current opportunities is going to be a list of all the potential business that you have out there. So you don't want to put current opportunities as a day planner item, but you may want current opportunities of decision dates of this week. Opportunities with a decision date of this week. That, to me, is a good day planner item because it's a smaller list that is workable rather than digging through the whole list of opportunities. Now, and I guess maybe I should back up a little bit too, is a day planner. So the day planner is things that are going to be that are important that you need to know today or this week or last week, or just kind of really important stuff, but not to take away from the others. But the day planner is also broken out by we call them profiles. Okay, a profile is I guess a good way to explain a profile would be like a department. And so like the sales department, we would call that a profile. The design department would be a profile. Accounting would be another profile, and so on. So in these profiles, you have groups of people. So, and sales is a real easy one. So if you have all these salespeople, then you could say, in this profile, I want all these day planner items to be visible for sales. So they're sales-related day planner items. You can also create profiles that are specific to people. And as an example, maybe you have sales, but then you also have one of those salespeople is a sales manager. So now maybe you create a separate profile called, sales manager. And so not only are they able to see the sales things for themselves as a salesperson, but they can also see things that are more management driven. Okay? You kind of following me there so far?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's just talk about the screen. So when you set up day planner items, when you open up eManage, it's going to pop up, and there's two things that happen. So right now, when this pops up, let me actually open up this other tab, this right here. What happens is when it pops up, you're going to have in this left side, this is the list of the day planner items that you want to show for the profile. So if again, using salespeople, I can say these are all the day planner items I want to show for a salesperson. Now, then there's check boxes. So now as the individual salesperson, I could go in here and check the boxes off, and then it will start to populate these grids. So right now I have 9 boxes checked off. And so these are the things that I want to see. Now, when I open up eManage, I can say these are the grids that I want to see when I open eManage. So I check them off, and then I click this button down here that says Save Current Opened Items as Startup Items. Okay. Have you guys created any day planner items, or do you have anything showing yet?
I don't think so. That's what we were just checking. I think I don't think we have.
So you do not have any configured day planner items to view. Please ask your administrator to add some items to your profile.
Okay, so what we'll do is let's go over on my screen. I'll kind of show you, I'll continue just to kind of give you an explanation of these day planner items and show you some examples. And then let's switch over to your screen and let's set some up.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, so what happens is if I take the salesperson profile and I say, okay, well, for a salesperson, there's things down here. This one right here, it says opportunities, decision date this week. That's a good salesperson one. Next touch date, that's a good salesperson one. Quotes that are expiring this week is a good salesperson one. And these are things that salespeople should see right when they open up their computer. So I would check these off. They would show up in here as these grids, and then I would save them. And now this is based off of the user. So you're going to have to go to each user's computer and check off the ones that are important that you want to show up, and then click this button to save it. And you can have as many as you want on the screen here. I have 9, but if I wanted to, I can uncheck these guys, and now I only have 6, and then I can save that. I can also, this little button here on every single grid, I can click on this to enlarge it. So I can see more of that grid, rather than just looking at a small grid, and I can scroll through it. All these grids too, just like any other grid in the program, is I can double click on this and it will open the project, or I can right click on it and my shortcut menu pops up, and I can go to, say, history and documents. Oh, history, oops, click history and documents, and it will open up that project in the documents tab. So not only is it a grid that you can view this information, but it's useful. So I can go through here and just start, open up projects and view the information. If I want to minimize this, and then I just click on that again, and then they all will spread out to equal sizes. So if I want to see more things, then I can also just check these boxes, and it will load that grid. So as you see, I by default I have 9 grids showing, because that's about all I really want to see. But if I want to see other things, then I can check them off. But these are my defaults. Okay. Also, just to kind of keep in mind that if you start to move these things around, you can also, when you move these around and put them in the order that you want, then you can save this. Click on the Save Current Opened Items, and it will save the order that they are. Okay. Any questions on this at the moment?
Can you edit any of the information, or do you have to go into the project?
Okay, that's a great question. Okay, here's with these grids, just like any other grid in the program, you can modify these grids. Okay, are you familiar with modifying any of the grid layouts in eManage right now?
Yeah, I mean, I know that you can make columns editable and not editable,
Right.
and that type of thing.
Right. Okay, so what you can do is, as an example, I'll just talk briefly about modifying grids, because just like any grid within the program, if you go down here there's always going to be this little red dot on every single grid. And when you click on that, then this menu pops up, okay? And then you have your grid functions here. So these are all the different grid functions. Now, one of the first ones always to remember is this: always show the grid toolbar for this grid. Now, this could be important because within each grid, you can create as many layouts as you want. Right here I have one I called this booked. And let me see if I have any others. Okay, I don't have any others. I only have one layout for this grid. But if you create multiple layouts, as an example, this grid right here, it's this day planner item is orders booked this week. Well, okay, maybe I have orders booked this week and it's showing everything, but then I go over here and I'm going to right click and I want to turn on my filtering, and I want to filter out everything and I only want to see Tiffany. Now I can go down here and I could say grouped by Tiffany. And then I can save this. I can make it public. I'm not going to make it my default grid. And this save button with the hand, if you have the rights, this makes it default for the entire company. But I'm not going to do that. But I'm just going to save it. So now what happens is if I created multiple grids, grid layouts within here, then I want to show this toolbar all the time. So I'm going to say always show this grid toolbar. And then it will always be there. And if I want to see Tiffany, now all I do is I click on Tiffany and I hit enter, and it changes the grid to Tiffany.
Right.
Okay. And so you can create, it's an infinite amount of these layouts per grid. As well is on this Tiffany, maybe I don't, if I wanted to move things around and I want to move her name over here, I want to put the project name first, maybe I don't want to see customer, I drag this and drop it up there, and then I can save it. And so I have again, a completely different grid than my other one, my default. And so you can really modify these. I can change the name if I want to go up here and I can get rid of, project name and just call it project or whatever. So you can modify these things. You can also go down here and kind of getting to your question about editing within the grid. One of these, this grid level options is to configure editable fields. Now, you have to have the rights to be able to do this, and you don't want to give this right just to anybody. There are certain fields that you don't want to make editable. Like obviously booking credit, you don't want to make editable. Order sale, you don't want to do that. But maybe you want expected complete date and book date you don't want to make editable. But maybe the project name, the expected complete date, and this market you want to make editable, then you could do it right in here. You can say, you can go in here and that expected complete date, wherever it is, expected complete date, then you can go through the process to make this editable. Now, there are a couple things you need to know about this, and if you're not sure what it is, like this database table, then I would call into support and say, hey, I want to make a couple of fields editable, can you help me? Now, the easiest way to kind of think about this is expected complete date. This is a project. So actually, this is going to be in order. So the table is probably going to have something to do with an order. So it's probably, I don't know exactly what table it is, but you have to find out which table it is and select that table. In fact, I think it's project order entry. And then if I save this, then it adds it to my list, and then I could go up here and now it made it a drop down. Okay, so you can make fields editable, and then what you would do is then you would save your layout, and then you have that layout, and they can edit some of this information right in the grid. And a good example of this is if I was doing for a salesperson and say these opportunities with a decision date of this week. Let me just turn on this, this grid. And if you notice, let me go to my grid level functions, configure editable fields. You'll notice I have 8 editable fields in this grid. So what I wanted to do is I wanted a salesperson right in this field when it pops up and they said, hey, this is an opportunity with the decision date of this week. Well, update it. If the decision date is changed, go ahead and change this, and then it will drop off this list. And, you know, maybe put a note on here. You know, put a next touch date when you're going to, so it shows on your calendar. So, again, trying to make it easier for your team that here's the things that are due this week, and, you know, update it. So you're touching that customer. Okay?
So that note right there, is that a note that automatically goes to the project?
No, this is not a note on the project. So if you
just
open up, it's just a note
with a note on your day planner.
Yeah, this is only a note within the grid. This is just so the salesperson can see it right here.
Okay. That's good. We're not super liking the notes in the projects yet.
Yeah, well, the note on a project is going to be, I guess a couple ways to think of it is, here's a note that I need to put on the project just so we have history that this was done, or whatever. So you have history. But a note on a project, because I can right-click on this project right here and go to Actions, and I can add a note.
Right.
So, and I can say, spoke to Kristen today, and we went over the, the day planner items, and we did a recording of it, and the recording's posted here and there. And I can save that note. And it's just there. So anyone who opens the project can say, hey, well, Stefan went over this already. But I can also then take this note and I can alert other people within the company. So I can send this to people. So now they're aware that that I created this note. Okay. When you send a note, they can also respond to the note. So it almost it's like this project-specific internal kind of almost email, I guess you can call it. But it saves as a note, and sometimes, you need people they want to respond or they don't have to respond, but it keeps a history. It can't be edited. It can't be deleted or anything. But one of the other things that we use a lot is if we create a note and we make it pop up on record open. And this to me is super important because, you and I could be talking about something, and whoever opens this project, I want them to be aware of what we talked about or whatever we did. So I bet you, we use it all the time. Let me just open up a project here. I would not be surprised if this project has a note that pops up. Let's see. But they could be they're very important, but yes, sometimes you just need to send somebody an email. But, so no note popped up.
Yeah, especially since we're new at it and we're trying to figure out how we want to use it and stuff, we're having issues with not being able to edit it or not being able to delete it.
Correct.
And it being there and it not being correct and not being able to not make it current or something. So we're just slowly figuring out that.
Right. And you can do things. Let me just show you something. And maybe something to, I guess, kind of an example of what it is. And I know, You know, a note, oh, there are no notes on this project. Okay. Let me find something with a note. Let me find something with a note. Here, let me go in here. Let me grab an order. An order always has a note. Let's grab this one. I'm just going to double click on it because I'm sure a note's going to pop up. But a note, oh there, see the note popped up. Chris ordered Eden right line for price hold. So it's not, we're only holding the price. Noted shipping date, you know, 12/31/2017, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, that's a good note to have, that everybody knows that we only created purchase orders to hold pricing. We didn't order it yet or anything. So, but this is kind of one to alert people of what's going on, but it's also a CYA, right? You know, cover your butt. And again, you know, you want to make.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, because, and it's not that you have to, you know, you're doing it in any negative way. You're just doing it in like, hey, I might forget, or I want to make, you want to make things as black and white as possible, so there's no question. There's nobody. You don't have to explain anything. Nobody has to say, well, are you sure you did that or whatever? It's there. You know, you did it. You know, you don't even have to explain it. They can just look. So, oops, I clicked on the wrong thing. I'll show you what we do with our notes, because you're absolutely right. Sometimes, oh, this isn't showing it here, but we have not current.
Okay, as a note type. Ooh.
Okay,
yeah, we're gonna do that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So not current is a good note type. Now, what you can do, and I thought I had it here. I guess I don't have it, but I had. You could filter it out, and again, you got to be very careful with filtering things out. But you can say, if I wanted to filter out everything that contains not current, I can type in not current here, and it will hide it from the list in here. And then you don't see it, and you'd have to click on the filter to unfilter it to be able to see it. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, so the kind of getting back to the day planner and, you know, these fields being editable, you absolutely can make them editable. If you're not too sure, then just call into support. And but basically, there's things. eManage will be, you know, all these grids are dynamic. And what I mean by dynamic is, if somebody creates a quote in the bill of materials, it's automatically going to update the opportunity with the dollar amount from the quote. So if you make it editable in here, then you just screwed up your quote. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So you got to be careful on what you make editable. But you can absolutely do that. Okay? Okay. So let's... so you got an idea of, okay, here's the layout. You know, you can have you can have only one grid showing, or you can have multiple grids. It depends on who the person is. And then you do it per profile. And it will, once you add the day planner items, it will add to this list. And then you could check off the ones that you want to save when you open. And then you can always go in here and just check off the ones that you want to see at that moment. You know, if I just want to check this out, if I want to see it. Okay. Make sense? You guys got that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So now let's kind of talk about the how this all gets here. And one of the things that you'll find with eManage is we try to make it, even though it's not custom software, so we don't do customizations for people. What we do is we try to make the software as customizable so you can customize it how you want to do it. So what we do is, just like I was showing you with all these grids, you know, by clicking on this little red button and going to the grid, all the grid functions, you could go in here and you can modify this grid and save as many grids. So there's a grid configurator, I guess is what you can call it. Well, just like this day planner, under tools, there's configure, and then down at the bottom here is configure day planner for profiles. Okay, and profiles are basically, an easy way to think about it is by department: sales department, accounting department, design department. Now, if you don't see this, or if it's grayed out, that means you do not have the right to do it. So you do have to talk to administrator to give you this right. Now, what you do is when you open this day planner up, what's really cool is we try to make things as flexible as possible so you guys can really, you know, customize it to yourselves. And even so much that we expose all the queries and things. So if you know how to write queries, or if you learn how to write the queries, you can make custom queries that we've never even thought of, and just for your business. And I'll explain a little bit more of that. So, okay, so we have the day planner. This is what opens up on everybody's computer, and this is where they'll see information. And I could click this little tab away, so now I just see grids. Now, under the tools, configure the day planner profiles, then it opens up this configurator. And in this top left, these are the available profiles. So if you notice, I have accounting, I have admin, administrator account, design, project coordinator, operations, payroll, receptionist. And look, you can see some of these I don't even have people in them anymore. Sales support. I have one specifically for myself, okay, because I want to see grids that nobody else needs to see. And so what happens is, as I click on these profiles, then people, these are the members of the profile, okay? Then also, down in the bottom left here, these are the defined day planner items. Now, eManage will supply a lot of day planner items in the system already. And one of the things that you'll want to be aware of is, did you guys get an update this past week?
Yes.
Okay. So in that update, on the release notes, there were a couple things here. Administrators, please. The administrator should import the default grid layouts, which I think you know that's just only one person in the entire company has to go to File and click on Import Default Grid Layouts. Now, the other one here is New Day Planner Items. Okay? So what you have, when we put out an update and we say New Day Planner Items, then what you need to do is down in the bottom here is Import, check for new items from Marketplace software. And when you click on this, it will download any new day planner item that we created. Okay? So basically the way this works is you come in here and I click on sales and I have all my sales people, and then I just start to check off the day planner items that I want. So if I want that to show up in their list, then I'll check it off. If I want that one, then I check it off. So you can check off as many day planner items as you want. Okay? Now, these day planner items are grouped. You notice installation, HR, invoicing and payments, operations, and down here we have sales, and then we have sales management. So these are all the sales, and under sales, you know, these are the things I want to show for salespeople. So right now I want them to see punch list. I want them to see opportunities with the decision date of this week. the next touch type of this week, quotes expiring this week. I want them to see the order sales year to date by salesperson, so they can, and booked, orders booked year to date by salesperson. And this way they can see themselves and the sales that they've created, but also compared to the other salespeople, and it's in ranking. So, you know, it could be a competition, right? I like that in my office, and so you can select which ones you want them to see. Now, once you do this and you check them off, then you're going to want to go back to that those people, and you want to check off the boxes here that you want to show when they open up eManage, and then save the current opened items as startup items. Okay? So the process that we're going to do, that you guys are going to do, is one, we want to make sure we have, you know, we look at your profiles and make sure you have the right people attached to each profile. And you can add more profiles, and these profiles are actually in the administrator. So if we go into...
Yeah, we went through those and made sure that the correct people are where they are. We've talked about how we probably need another one, possibly, but we haven't created one.
Right. And so you can do that at any time. So just like I created one for myself,
right.
You know, it might be good that maybe for, you know, the principals that you create one just for them, because they're going to be interested in different things than what you're going to be interested in, right?
Right.
And that's the idea is. So you'll go in here to your profiles. These are the people selected, and you'll just start checking off the day planner items that will be important to them. Okay? So really simple to set up, and that's it. The setup is profile and check off the day planner items. And
okay.
You're done.
But so you said, I mean, we set it up here, we save it, but then you said we have to go back and save the startup, or that's something that like automatically...
What will happen is when they open up eManage, this is going to be blank. So this is what it's going to look like. So let me just go. It's going to be absolutely totally blank. It will look just like this. It will pop open, and they'll have this list, and there'll be nothing on this right side. So what you'll want to do is, rather than them having to come over here and click, and it's going to load the data, and then open, and then click, you know, rather than having to do that, check off the things that you want in front of their face at all times, and then click on this, Save Current Opened Items as Startup. And this has to be done on everybody's individual computers, because this is totally individual. You could have sales, you know, as an example, you could have salespeople that most of the salespeople see the same thing, but maybe one salesperson is a little unique, so you can modify it for that one person, or modify it for a couple people.
Okay, but so it's only showing the options that you've given them, though?
Right. So this list on the day planner is only what you've given them.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, okay, so that's clear. So really, what you guys are going to do, we're just going to go through it step by step. You're going to go to Tools, Configure, and you're going to go to Configure Day Planner for Profiles. When that opens, you're going to select the profile, and it's going to show the members, and then you're just going to start checking off the things that you want to be available for them. And then once you do that, you'll want to go to these people's computers, and then you'll want to check off the things that you want them to see right when they open eManage. And you check it off, and then you save current opened items as startup. And then that's it. You don't have to do anything else. And you're good to go. Now, if as the administrators, when you look at this, so say this current opportunities, if you'll want to give all these day planner items to yourself, and then you could check them off and look at the grid and then modify this grid layout. And if you want to create a grid layout for the entire company, then like I created this one, it's called Ops, and it's a company default. So I saved that for the entire company. Now, every time when they open up their computer, this is the layout that they see. If you have, say, this opportunity decision date of this week, maybe it's something special for accounting, they don't need to see all this other stuff, then you can modify this grid layout and then call it accounting, save it as public, and then go to the accounting people and on their computer check default and save, and it will be default for their computer, for them only. Okay.
Okay, even if there's a company default, because when we talked to Chris or someone, I feel like they told us that if there's a company default on that list, on that grid, that it will always go to the company default first.
No, it will, if you do a different one and make it default, then that's your default.
It will default. Okay, cool.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, so that's the super easy, skinny on how to create a day planner item. Now, one of the things that I want, I mentioned that this is totally customizable, and if I click on, let's see, let me look where it is. Okay, so I just clicked on this one, top 25 items quoted for user. Down here, it says manageONE default item, and there's a checkbox. This means eManage created this day planner item and provided it for all of our customers. Now, if you go back, and I'm going to go up here to punch list. Punch list, if you notice here, there's the checkbox, and it says it's not checked. I made this day planner item myself. So what I did is do you guys, I don't know, do you call it punch list or do you call it discrepancy? Yeah. You call it punch list?
Yeah.
Okay. So I use, if you go over here to the today, and you have hot jobs. So on every single project, you can go under actions, you could mark as hot. Now what happens is when you mark this job as hot, it forces you to type a note and to explain why you're marking it as hot. Okay? Now, I've been using eManage for 14 years. We never used hot jobs. We tried using it way back, and one of the things that we were trying to use it for is a salesperson or somebody in the company would mark the job as hot if it was like, oh my gosh, this is a bid, or oh, this is a big project, or whatever. And we were using a hot job as, this is a super hot job, we got to get it done. Well, what we found is a salesperson will mark every job as hot. So we ended up having a gazillion hot jobs, and it wasn't. So the hot job really didn't mean anything anymore because everything was hot. So we decided not to use it as marking the job as a hot job for saying that it's it's hot. We have a probability on the job, and that's what we're using for what the probability is on this project. So what we did is we use hot job as a punch list. So when we get a punch list, if I go, say this project right here is a punch list, we have actions and submit an action item, and we created an action item called punch list. Where are you? Punch list. Well, under this action item for punch list, where'd it go? Okay, there. Under this action item punch list, we have these prerequisites. Attach the punch list form, attach any photos of the problem items, attach the drawing and highlight where the problem is, the vendor acknowledgments, and mark as hot job. Okay, so what happens now is we mark it as a hot job, and then it shows up in all these hot jobs. Well, this is an exception. As you know, early on I said don't be using your today items as day planner items unless you narrow them down. Like I have active quotes that are expiring this week or current opportunities with a decision date of this week. But I created a day planner item that's all my hot jobs, which is basically all my punch lists. So if I go back here, and where's my punch list? Punch list. Right here. So punch lists to me are one of the most important things in the company because, one, the job's not done, and that means we're probably not getting paid. So when they mark it as hot, you know, they have to put a note in there. So it says Hayworth sent Ron fabric for mod panel. And then they'll start putting notes. So I made this editable in the grid. So now my project manager who's working on this, they'll start to keep notes of what's happening. And he puts a note, you know, this is his initials. And so here's the project. You know, I could right click or double click, and I could go anywhere in this project. And I can see the pictures of the damage or whatever. Now, so this shows up on everybody's computer. This day planner item is part of everybody's life. Now, what I did is, so I created a custom day planner item, and instead of calling it hot job, I just called it punch list. So what I did is I went into this grid, hot jobs, and I'm gonna show you something that we do. Again, we want to make it give as much flexibility to everybody as we can. Every single grid, if you go to grid functions, you're going to see this view results as SQL. SQL is your database. So this is the query, or this is the view. Now, if it doesn't have anything in here, then it consists of multiple queries, and you're not going to be able to, it's not going to be as easy as what I'm showing you right now. But basically what I did is I Control-C, I copied that, and then I went to my configured day planner item, and I went to new, and I'm going to put this in a category. So I can select an existing category, or I can just type in a new category, and it will be in the list. But if I select that, and I'm just going to name this sample punch list, oops, I spelled that wrong, punch list item. Okay, and then the record type, I'm going to save it as a record, and I could type a description, list, okay, and then what I do is I'm pasting a query, and then I save, okay, and then it's asking me, do you want to save this to this selected profile? I can say yes or no, and I'll just say no. And so then it added it to my list here, okay, and then all I do is I check it off to make it available. So you can go into any grid and copy information over. Now, this is pretty easy because this load my hot jobs to 4, okay, great. This is showing all the jobs. But if I wanted to do something a little bit more complex, like, let's see if I have it here. Okay, quotes expiring this week. I grabbed this query from the quotes up here, the active quotes. And what I did is I added, it says expires on. I actually added, edited this and it told this query to show me all the quotes that are only expiring with a date of, this week. Now, I don't know how to write this, so I could, you could call into support and ask for help, but I actually figured this out. I went through another day planner. I'm trying to think which one it was. I don't know if this one, yeah, okay. So here, opportunities lost this week. Well, I looked at, this project, date, part, week, cancel date equals date, week, get date. So I basically copied some of this stuff and went to that other day planner item and pasted it in. And then you can click on this little tab here at the bottom that says test planner item, and it will run the query and test it for you to see if it works. If it doesn't work, you're going to get an error. And then maybe you did something wrong, typed it, maybe you have a space or whatever. But you can try to do this on your own. There are a lot of people out there that know how to write SQL queries. I don't. I just kind of look for other ones and copy and paste and it's trial and error. But this, you basically, if you can start thinking about like, hey, what would be important that I want to see, and I only want to see certain things. You can, I can go into my analysis here, and I can run an analysis on companies. And maybe I want to see companies created this week. Okay, so all I did is I went to companies created this week. I'm going to copy this query because you know what? This to me, this could be an important day planner item, especially if you have people that are constantly typing in incorrect information. Or, maybe it's the market type. People aren't setting the correct market type or the correct company type, and you want to make sure it's being done properly. So maybe you want to be that overseer of the new companies created this week. So I can copy this. I could go down here to my day planner, and I'm going to put this under, what should I put this under? What do I want to put it under? I don't know. I'm just going to put it under operations. And new companies created this week. Okay? And I'm going to put it under it. The record type is a company location. Oops, like it's okay. Okay, and then I'm going to paste that query in there, and then I save. Do I want to add it to this group? No, but now I'm going to go back to me, and I'm going to scroll to operations and check that off. And now when I go back over here, I can open up my little tab here, and I click refresh, and under there it is. New companies created this week. So now when that pops up, here it is. These are all the new companies created this week. Now I can start to set this grid up. And if you notice here, I have there's a mass amount of information. Well, I don't need to see all that. So I'm going to go to my grid functions and column functions, and I'm going to hide all columns and show my field chooser. And basically what I want to see is the company name. Oops, wrong one. Company name, company type. I want to see market type, maybe created by, so I know who created it. And maybe I want to put in here terms. So where are my terms? Oh, maybe sales territory, if they're tax exempt, and I don't know what my terms are. Oh, default terms. Okay? So maybe I want to see these things. You notice how this tax exempt is just 0 and 1? Well, I'm going to right click on this and change this data type to a checkbox. Okay? So now I can move these things around, and I'm going to save this, and new companies, I'll make this a company default, but now I want to be able to look at this list and edit this right here. So you see how there's no sales territories in here? Well, let's go to my grid functions, column, grid level, and configure editable fields. Now I know this is a company record, so let's see, I want to edit my, let's go to that sales territory. And this is going to be, it's a company, I know it's a company record, so it's just going to be, what is it going to be? Company. Updates. Which one is it? My company logos, my company file, no. Which one do I want here? See, this is where it gets a little tricky.
That's why you call into support.
Right, you call into support, but you can generally figure it out. I'm not thinking here. Come on, Stefan. Company status change, company file, company documents, not. Oh, maybe it's location. Nope. I can't remember. Look, I'm going to go down to my search here, and I think under company, I did it down here. So I've done it before. I'm going to go to my company record here. Let me pop that tab out, and I'm going to go to my edit, grid level. Let's see what I did over here, because I know I made this editable. Oh, it's companies. So the table name is companies, not company. So what I need to do is companies. There we go. And then this is actually the sales territory is a drop down. So sales, this is the drop down from the administrator. So I wanted to update the drop-down list. I want it to be sales territories. So I save that, and I close this, and now I could go in here, and I can set the sales territories. You know, I know these guys are all here. So I can update this right here. So if, I guess what I'm showing you guys is when you start thinking about what the uses for this, you know, it's infinite. And you can make these yourself. Yeah. So, you know, and this, to me, this is actually a pretty, I think I created this one before, actually. This new company's created this week. You know, there's some customers that we have that, you know, all of our data is wrong, or, you know, maybe like this one, it says Masawa AFB. Well, in another record, it might say Masawa AB, or Masawa Air Base, or Air Force Base. You know, instead of University of Hawaii, you might say UH. So if you have those problems, then create this day planner item. And if you're the one that's going to kind of manage that and oversee it, you come in, you can say, hey, wow, look, these are all the customers that created this week, and you can just edit it really fast and just go through this, especially if you make these editable. Yeah?
Yep, that's cool.
Yeah, even, you know, another good use for this too would be for the accounting department. Maybe they want to establish terms for these new customers. Rather than a salesperson setting these terms, that accounting, it pops up and they can say, no, okay, we'll do this, whatever. Anyways, it's just an example. So this is how cool the day planner items can be, and how much flexibility it has. Okay. Yeah. So what do you think?
It's going to be awesome when we get it set up.
Yeah. And it's not that difficult to get set up.
Yeah, I don't think so. By what you showed us, I think we'll be good for getting at least the basics up to begin with.
But you know what's I think the most difficult part, and this is with, you know, not just a day planner item, but this is eManage in general, is opening your mind up to think about, how can I make things easier for me? How can I make it easier for my staff and my team? How can I make it easier for my customers? You know, what can I do in eManage to make our lives easier? And I'm telling you, there's a gazillion ways you could do that. And these day planner items is one. Modifying these grids, you know, having, like, literally, I spend the time, see all this? I would go through here and I would go and put spaces in all this stuff. And I would change the names. And you see how it has this summary, the filter, and this push pin? Well, I don't want to see the summary. I may not want to see the filter, and the push pin is actually down here. And I don't want to see that column freezing because it looks nicer. And it's easier for my people to read it. So I'll go through and I will be that anal and adjust all this stuff and then save it.
Can you change the size of a window that pops up? Like when you go to add an acknowledgement, can you change the size of that window?
You know, like, so when you open up eManage, that this window is the big window that opens. I don't think it does that. I think it will just save all the windows, and it will save them in the order. I don't think it saves which one's maximized and which one's minimized, which ones.
Right.
And
I meant like in general, like if there was a way, every time I open or add an acknowledgement, I have to like when the window pops up.
Yeah. This, when you click on, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it just seems like that's the only window that pops up that's different from like anything else. And when I add an acknowledgement, the size of that window is just like not quite long enough.
When you click to add an acknowledgement, it's always that big.
Yeah.
If you
see how you can only see so much stuff. I know you can change the columns around, but our descriptions are so long and stuff. It'd just be nice if it was like the window was just bigger.
Here's what you do. Here's what you do is when it pops open, you go right up to the top here and just double click.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Just double click. And this is a Windows operation. If you just double click any heading on any application, it will maximize.
Okay, I'll just do that.
Yeah. So even if I was in, if I had an email open as an example, if I have this email open, if I just double click here, it maximizes. That's just the Windows function, yeah. But yeah, that's an easy way to do it. And you can, you see how this is wider, this row than the other rows. You can set these rows. I go back down to my grid function and I go to row functions, size all at once, size based off of content. You can make them expand how you want them to. Yeah. You can, you can even right click. I think you could do this here. Wait, this is a little shortcut. Let me see if we can do it. No, not there. So you would take and right click and go down here and call this a preview row. And what it does, you notice all the blue down there? It put it at the bottom. This, to me, this is hard to look at, but if you wanted to, then I could get rid of it. The options are listed all in blue underneath. That's a preview.
I see.
Yeah, so there are look, you can go through this stuff. You're not gonna break anything, but go through and and see what this stuff does. And you can always, like, I just modified this grid. Well, close it and then reopen it. I'm not going to save it, or go ahead and save it. Who cares? You can save as many of these grid layouts as you want, and then you can delete them. There's always the default grid layout. You're not going to ruin it. Yeah. Yeah, because even these acknowledgments, moving some of these columns around. But I literally go into every single window and I will modify these grid headers to be how I want them. Like this one, acknowledgement number. So we had an update recently, and I don't want to see all of that. Why not just act number? I can maybe do that and save that. It's just easier to look at. Like even these summaries, I don't need to see the summary up there. And now it's easier to look at.
I like it.
Yeah. All right. So I guess it just kind of to recap what we did, right, is, the tools and configure day planner items, and you select them, the profile, and select the items you want to show. And then you go to the day planner, and then you check off the ones that you want to show on their screen when it opens and save them. And then we talked about modifying these grid layouts and making editable fields for these grids. We went over creating brand new day planner items and copying the query from another grid, and then go ahead and try to modify it. you're not going to ruin anything. You're not going to hurt anything. It's either going to work or it's not going to work. So feel free to create as many day planner items as you want. But, you know, you just want to think it through, and just like editable fields, think about, you know, you don't want to stop people from going to this today, because this is super important. There's a lot of information in here. But you do want them to see the things that are happening right now. So anyways, yeah, you know, open up your guys' minds and thinking about like, hey, how can I make things easier for my team and the company? And then, you know, we talked about, you know, hot jobs. You know, I use hot jobs as punch list items, and it's part of my process and things like that. And yeah, cool.
If you don't use hot jobs, is there any other way on the day planner to see punch items?
This is the best way I found it, because what's nice about it is you can, so on eManage you can have multiple orders per project, right? So a punch list is going to be another order. So you want to make that one order hot, not the entire project hot. Right. You know, so, well, no, that's not right. It is making the entire project hot, a hot job, but you're tracking that order. And what's nice is you know, you can mark it as hot, and what happens is when it's completed, then this is going to say unmark as hot, and then you'll just click on it and it will unmark it. So it removes the hot status. Okay. To me, it's been, it shows up everywhere. So in action items, as an example, if we look at, if I look at draw estimate, see, I have hot, and there are no hot ones in here. So I could look at, you know, invoice for final. Oh, look, so look, there's 2 that were hot. So the hot job thing shows up everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Did you guys have any other questions?
I don't think so for now. I think we're just gonna get in there and see what we can do, and then if we have any questions, we'll just call in.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, like I said, just this is what's going to be really cool is as time goes on, you're going to be able to, you're going to start to see different things like, oh, maybe I can use this and do that.
Right.
You know, and try it. And if you're not sure, just call in.
Okay.
And you know, maybe it might be, maybe that person, the support person answers a phone, may not have that answer rate there, but they'll look into it because, like, you know, like I said, I've been using this for 14 years. Over the years, I've figured things, you know, I do things maybe different than the way it was designed, and that's the beauty of it. Is I've thought about things that maybe we didn't even think about when we were writing it. So, cool.
Thank you for your time. It was very helpful.
Yeah, you're very welcome. No problem. Feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call. And yeah, awesome.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Well, all right, thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Take care.